Oh, hey, all my crafty friends. It's DIY day here, and oh my goodness. This is Lynn from Humblebee Craft Studio, and before I start, I'm going to tell you there's a lot going on in my house. I have dogs barking, I have a husband who's cleaning, and company coming, and just the dryer's probably going to buzz because I'm doing laundry, just so everything that can go wrong today while we're together will probably go wrong. So if you can hang in tight with me there and forget about all those background noises, we should be good. So with today being DIY day, I thought that I would show you how to do something that you can do at home quickly and easily, and it won't break the bank. So if you're a crafter like me, or maybe you're a quilter, maybe you have a child that's going to be going off to college next year, I've got a craft for you that will be perfect. Now in the past I've told you, no, we're not going there. We're going somewhere else. We're going to talk about the supplies we're using. So today I have my staple gun. I do. I've got my handy dandy Pioneer Woman scissors. I only bought them because I love blue and I love flowers. And so look, blue and flowers. It's wonderful. We're gonna need some squeegees. I should be using coal black to make this really look more authentic. However, I do a lot of things in black. This is something I'm gonna use in my craft room, and blue is my favorite color. So we're gonna go with berry blue ink today. Getting excited yet? I have, oh, I love the stencil. Whoops. I have our sewing machine stencil, and I think, you know, we had a blizzard yesterday and the sun is shining. The birds aren't singing and that kind of thing, but that's okay. We have sunshine. The roads are clear and they're dry, and it's great. So April blizzards and tornadoes and all those storms that came through, we fared well. Compared to others, very well. So we are using our sewing machine. Is that just not the cutest thing? Oh, I love the sewing machine. So that's the stencil we're using. And we're going to be using some cotton muslin. I already cut mine to size. And then we're also going to be using some project fleece. And I picked this up at Walmart. I believe this was Joann's, although you can get it at Walmart too. And so we're going to go from there. And I'm going to really set my bag down because I do have my glue gun on. Now, what are we going to redo? I'm going to show you. Back up here a sec. I did some work, but I'm going to show you what I did. So, TV tray, right? I have found that almost every thrift store that I go to, I can find an old TV tray. Now, if you go to buy them new, you're gonna spend money. I believe I got these for $3 a piece. I have a ton of them. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this into an ironing board. But one more thing that I did do is I used some of my wooden blocks from Dollar Tree. So what I did was I had flipped my table over. You know how there's legs. And so what happened was super easy peasy to get these unscrewed. Super easy. Then I had the side ones, but they have that metal bar that holds it. So I unscrewed all of that, and I glued two Jenga pieces, or excuse me, wood block pieces together, and I put those on as my feet. So I left these where they were, only I took these totally off and then I put them back on, and then I have these. Now, given unforeseen circumstances this weekend, Kirk was gonna cut some wood for me because I'm also going to use the legs, but I'll come back and I'll show that project to you another time. So let's get started. So I have everything I need on here. This is just screwed on, these two. This is wood glue and hot glue to keep them together, and they are very firm and steady. So when I turn this over, I've got this is part of my surface, and then I have my surface that's going to be my ironing board. We still have the heat on, believe it or not, and the house is dry. We put all the humidifiers away, so not sure. So what I did was, this came in a roll, and I just cut what I needed, and then I folded it in half. So I did that, and I'm going to put this over the sides. I know I'm going to have some more cutting to do. So you can see that I've got this. Now I don't want to go past my legs, so I will be cutting. But what I am going to do first to make this easier for me is I'm actually going to staple this down first and cut it off before I do my fabric. And so I'm just going to, actually I'm going to start right here, and I'm going to go right in front of that, and I'm just going to go down and staple, come on, and staple. Okay, when I get to my corner, that's a whole nother thing. See how it's really bunchy here? So again, I'm going to go to this end here, and I'm going to staple backwards. So I'm going to staple, I'm going to staple, and I'm going to staple here. I'm going to wait for that corner again. Now I'm going to do the same thing on my back edge here. And, whoops. This staple gun seems like it should go like this, but it actually goes this way, and it's kind of funny. And this is nothing heavy duty. I think I bought this at Joann's about 4 years ago. It has not failed me yet. So then I'm going to go over, and I'm going to do the same over here. Then we're going to go back and do our corners. Let's see if we can get that in there. Now taking my very fancy scissors, I'm going to cut this piece off here, and I'm going to fold that over, and I'm going to staple it probably twice. It'll be my luck, I'll run out of staples. Let's see. This is hard to cut from this angle. I'm going to turn it around and see if I can't get at this from a better angle. So again, I'm just cutting that, and I'm going to fold that under, fold this here, and this one I think I might be able to get with, nope, we're still going to do 2 staples. Okay, now to save staples, I could have done my fabric over this again. I was just a little bit nervous about doing this, and you're saying, oh, Lynn, it's up over your legs. We'll get there. We'll get there. We'll get it done. And so again, I'm just going to fold this, and then I'm just going to cut right here along this line. Does the bottom part of this look pretty? Oh, heck no. And that's fine. 1, because it's going to be mine. It's not going to be sold. And 2, no one's going to see it anyway. It's underneath. So I think, since I'm on this end, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this. Where am I? And what I'm doing is I'm just trying to cut right where my, and I don't care if this is cut straight or not. To me, that doesn't matter. Again, it's not something I'm selling. It's going to be used in my craft room, and no one's going to look underneath. So got that, and I believe, see, this is where it's going to get funny, because this is where I don't want it on my legs. Okay, so I got that. All right, oh, we only have 1 corner left. Yay! See how fast that went? And this one, I think, there we go, I can do it that way. I always forget which way this thing goes. And again, I've got some more cutting to do, which is fine. So I'm just going to cut up here. and then I'm going to go across this top, and I'm going right where my leg is. Don't you love the way I cut? Just haphazardly, do whatever, right? I'm not looking for perfection in this piece. Like I said, this is my piece for me only, so no, it's not going to look pretty. If I were making this piece for you, oh, it would be all prettied up. But when it comes to making something for myself, if it looks bad underneath or behind, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I've got that piece on. Now, I went back and forth with this. You know how I measure. Oh, wait, I don't measure, right? So I was a little bit nervous. This is like all fuzzy up on top. You see that? We got it done. Got it all stapled. All right. Oops, got little edges there. So what I want to do is I went ahead and I cut my muslin, and I want this piece to go really tight down over this. And I contemplated whether I should ink it before or after, because I don't want my stencil to move. I'm going to take my chance, because here's my other problem. I could go ahead and ink this on fabric. With my luck, when I go to put it on here, it's not going to be centered. So that's why I did my my bottom first. And it's not really thick. I mean, if you want to make it cushy, comfy, and, you know, pretty poofy-woofy, I'm going to pull this up a little bit. Again, I'm going to need to cut it off. But I'm going to go ahead and do it on this. I'm going to take my chances without having my ink mat. Oh, there's something there. And go with that. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my stencil. Again, this is sewing machine, and it's cute as can be. And then, see, it even says Carolina and everything. Oh, it's just so cute. And again, I totally agree this should be in black. But like I said, I'm doing what I want, and I want you to do what you want. I'm matching to my colors, and it happens to be my favorite color, and so that's where I'm going with this. I'm going to take my stencil off, and we're going to remember one thing. I do not need my tacky towel because I'm putting this on fabric, so I don't have to do anything. But I do need to figure out my center here. Whoops. You're thinking, but Lynn, you didn't put it down yet and you're inky. I'm not. I'm just trying to figure out. See how I figured out if it's centered? That's how I measure. Seriously. It's bad. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over. And I am going to go ahead. And I'm going to, actually I'm going to fold that over. Now I'll make it look prettier, maybe. And I'm going to do the same thing I did. I'm going to come up. Actually, I'm going to pull this back. Can I do that? Yes. Okay. So now I'm going to add this piece to it. And I'm going to tell you, I do have another one of these where I left the legs on. And so what I'm finding is now that we have Briggs, the cat, that he tends to knock it over a lot in my craft room. And I'm thinking, that's just really kind of a pain. So this one I can stick in my closet here. It's out of the way, out of sight, out of mind, and little Mr. Briggs isn't going to get into trouble by knocking things over. He makes a lot of mischief in my craft area. I guess it's his job, but that's kitty cats, right? And I love my kitty cats. So the dogs, they're mellow. The dogs can be in here. They just sleep on the floor. And the cat decides that he needs to prowl and see what's around and what he can get into. See, now I'm making this a little bit more pretty. Again, not that I'm going to look underneath. I'm getting worried about my staples. I am. Okay, so here I have much more fabric than I did on the other side, and I'm just going to tuck that under. Are you going to come up to my, tuck it under a little bit more. I think I can get that. Okay, and then on this edge, come on, work with me here. On this edge, can I get it this way? I'm going to cut a little bit of this. It's too much. And I'm just cutting. There's no rhyme or reason to why I'm cutting. I'm just trying to get this over my edge, keep it tight, and I guess now I'm making it pretty. Oh, come on. Don't be out of staples. Oh, yes. Okay, and I'm going to pull these up. Oh, actually, this I can pull back a little bit. See, we can make it pretty. And you can see that this isn't really taking that much time. It's probably taking me longer because I'm walking you through this step by step. If I weren't here talking to you, I would just be boop, boop, boop all over the place. I don't like that. That may need another staple, but I want to make sure I have what I need. Okay, I'm going to do that same thing. I'm going to come up against backwards. I told you this. Oh, maybe I need a new stapler. I don't know. And so then we finally get to the last. And I'm going to pull this up. And again, I'm going to fold this under. Oops. You know what? I take that back. I'm going to cut across this one because that's a lot of fabric to fold. And no, it's not pretty. No, my line's not straight. Whoopsie. I can't cut a straight line for anything. I can draw stick people though, just so you know. It's important to know to draw stick people, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to come over here, and again, I'm just stapling up against that edge, and then I've got my corner. Now this has a lot of fabric here. It is stapled right there. I'm leaving it. I'm not worrying about it, but I am going to bring this over as a folded corner. I'm going to pull this a little bit more taut. And you can see this is why I was a little bit nervous about doing the stencil ahead of time, because the way it is right now, I can actually, move my stencil if I need to once I put it down. Oh, come on. So I'm going to fold that one over and then bring it up. It's the corners that are funny. They can get you. But you know what? The worst case scenario, you pull out the staples and you do it again. All right, so I'm now on my very last one. I've got this half done. And I'm just sticking all that underneath there, cleaning it up a little bit. Looks better than it did. Whoops. And voila. We have our portable ironing board. How slick is that? So now I did notice that I am going to move my stencil. I'm going to move it a little bit higher so that it's centered more. And yes, I'm using blue ink. She should have used black. If you think I should have used black, put it in the comments, because honestly, I think I probably should have used black, but black's not my favorite color. Blue is. So again, this is a new blue from last summer, I believe. It's berry blue. Look at that. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to put this on the outer edge, not right on my stencil right away. And I'm just going to pull down. And I am worried about this bleeding underneath because I can see my stencil moving. But we're just going to be really careful and go down over this once And we're going to try to get this where we need it, and I'm going to cross my fingers that it does not bleed. So I'm going over this a second time, but all I'm doing is going lightly to get off any excess that I may have. The one thing I do like about this stencil is that there's a lot of green area, and so it looks like I'm using a lot of ink, but I'm actually not. And you notice there's enough green area on each of the sides that I didn't feel that I really needed to tape it off. I can see I have white there. So I'm just going to put my glasses on, double check to make sure I got all the areas, and I'm just lightly, again, lightly going over. Get that back in my ink pot. I can feel ink on my fingers, so I'm lightly going over, just getting off that excess. Now what I didn't do today, which I should have, is I don't have my tub of water in here. And your stencils will look very ugly after this. The ink will probably stain it. And you don't have to worry, because as long as it's not clogged, you're going to be fine. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to grab one of my wipes, maybe. And these are just, I use disinfectant wipes from Dollar Tree. They don't, come on, they don't seem to have the strong chemical smell to it that bothers me so much. And they take that ink right off my fingers, and we're good to go. It still makes me nervous. Ink, ink, ink. Okay, I think I'm good. Cover up my ink here. And I'm going to take my stencil, and we're just going to pull up and cross our fingers. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous. And I'm going to tell you, if this was in black, oh, it would look beautiful. My letters, where it says Carolina, did bleed a little bit. I'm okay with that, because personally I like it without the name of the machine, but that's just me. But here we go. Look at that. And so I just thought, you know, yes, I ink and chalk, but I do know how to sew, and I do sew. not my most enjoyable task, but I do. And but I love having my ironing board right in here, ready to go when I need it. Now this will need to dry and let that ink really set in there. Then, once it's dried for 24 hours, I will put my parchment paper over it, and I will, obviously this one can't go in my heat press, so I will iron it for about 4 minutes, setting that ink. And I know over time what's going to happen is I'm going to forget that I had my iron on, and I'm going to have it laying flat, and all of a sudden, I touched that ink, doggone it. Anyway, and I know it's going to end up kind of getting more of an antiqued look. I do believe this would have looked better in black, but again, I wanted my color, my favorite, and I went with blue, but I absolutely adore what's going on in here. So I want to wish you a happy DIY day. If you have an opportunity to go out to a local thrift store and find something that you'd like to DIY, go for it. If you make a mistake, you just start on over. And if you really, really screw it up, it only costs you a few dollars, and you'll find something else to do with it. We're trying to keep it out of the trash, though. So until next time, happy crafting, and I'll see you again. Enjoy!